Hi, I'm Ben Murdoch, the Songwriter Coach, and welcome to day 6 of my 14-day lyric writing challenge, keeping us songwriters creative during isolation. So yesterday we did some sensory writing. You chose a subject and then used an object as a trigger to write about that subject, making sure that you used all of the 5 primary senses. And those 5 primary senses are sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. So if you've not done the exercise for day 5, then do that first because today follows on from it. Today we're going to introduce the final 2 senses. So firstly, the 6th sense, not that. So the 6th sense is actually movement. So it's self-explanatory really. Anything involving movement of the body falls into this category. So things like running, jumping, falling, dancing, moving to pick something up, anything really that involves movement. So we're all moving thousands of times a day, so we can really relate to lines written about moving. And there are millions of examples in songs, from things like dancing on the ceiling to walking on the moon, and they're just talking about movement within their titles, let alone the actual lyrics. Okay, so on to the 7th and final sense. It's called the organic sense. You can't spell organic without the word organ. This sense is all about the organs of the body. So the organic sense involves anything which comes from within your body, arising from the organs, things like nervousness, feeling sick, headaches, your heartbeat, pain. They're all organic things that using the organic sense. And there's examples everywhere of those as well in songs. And it's used a lot because it helps us to tap into the listener so they really understand the feeling that we're trying to put across. So we can make the listener go within and draw out a feeling. And horror films and thriller films use this principle a lot. So imagine you're watching a horror thriller film. There's a murderer on the loose. It's nightfall, and a scared and ultimately ill-fated teenager wanders into the woods alone. They hear a noise coming from somewhere behind them. And just as the teenager's pulse begins to race and their stomach turns, so does yours. You begin shouting at the screen, "Run!" We've all been there, haven't we? Watching the film and shouting at the screen, not actually being hunted in the woods by a murderer, at least hopefully not. And if you love horror films, you're going to actively seek out these experiences because we love to be made to feel something. It doesn't have to be horror either. A rom-com can make you happy and cry in places, but generally it's there to sort of warm your heart. So how do you use the organic sense when you're writing? Well, it can be as simple as talking about getting drunk and throwing up, which is how Ed Sheeran uses it in Castle on the Hill, evoking those feelings of nausea. Or you might keep orbiting around a situation using an organic sense to build the tension, like we see in Michael Jackson's Thriller. So here, you try to scream, but terror takes the sound before you make it. You start to freeze as horror looks you right between the eyes. You're paralysed. Now, this is quite extreme use of the organic sense, but of course, it really works for this classic song. So just like I said in day 5's video, if you need a bit more background to this, then watch this video and it will give you a little bit more information. Okay, so now let's get down to today's challenge. I want you to take a look back over what you wrote yesterday first. Give it a good read over so that you get back into the zone. So right now I want you to pause the video on the instruction screen I'm about to put up and read over your work. Okay, great. So now you're back in the zone of yesterday's sensory write and you're ready to go again. Today we're going to add to yesterday's work by doing a sensory write using only the final 2 senses, that's movement and organic. So we'll keep the same subject, the same object that we used yesterday. So for instance, if my subject was my childhood and the object, the trigger I was using to write around this was the apple tree, then I'm keeping them for today. But today, rather than making sure I get sight, hearing, taste, touch and smell into my sensory write, I'm looking only to get movement and organic information into the writing, so those 2 senses. So I may write about scrambling up the tree or even falling out of it. Both of these would be using the sense of movement. I may write how I felt scared when I lost my footing and fell, my heart beating out of my chest, or how I got goosebumps from the thrill of playing hide and seek in the tree. These examples fall into the organic sense as they arise from within the body. So now it's over to you to get writing. Just like before, give yourself 10 to 15 minutes to do this sensory write. You can always come back to it later in the day to read over your work and maybe add some more thoughts in. Make sure you get a few movement sense lines and a few organic sense lines into the writing. And by the end of this exercise, you're going to have loads of raw material for your lyric, which is going to come in really useful. Make sure you're saving all of your work as well. If you write on paper, then using a book or a folder to keep everything together is a really good plan. And if you're more up to date then and using a computer, then make sure you save your work. Good luck with today's challenge. And if you're enjoying this 14-day challenge, then please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell too, so you get notified when I release a new video. Stay in, stay safe, and keep writing songs. I'll see you tomorrow for day 7.